What's up, y'all? I'm out here at the range, as you can see behind me, on a steamy sunny day out here. I think the temperatures are going to be a little warmer than they were calling for. Supposed to be like mid 80s by the end of the day, but it feels like 80 already, and I'm out here early. Don't have any shade either. My shade tree don't kick in till the afternoon, but it's kind of a catch-22 out here. If I wait till the shade, then you got that afternoon heat, and then if I'm out here early like this, I ain't got no shade. So it just is what it is. That being said, I've got some interesting stuff planned for today. I've gotten one done already, wasn't real great, but this one right here should be some really hot and spicy 357 SIG. So the jelly contraption's out here trying to beat the heat with a couple of chronos and 2 blocks of gel. Now only one test done so far, and it's all the way at the back. So this one right here, I'm pretty sure we ain't gonna need but 1 block for, so we shouldn't have any problem. I do have my heavy clothing barrier up front, as you can see, with the layer of denim, fleece, and 2 layers of cotton t-shirt. And what we got here is some hot 357 SIG from Grizzly. This is their 90 grain JHP Vaporizer round. Now this thing is saying 1900 feet per second from a 5-inch barrel, which would give you 721 foot-pounds of energy. Grizzly in the past has usually been good for their velocity, so I'm expecting to see close to that, even though we're not working with a 5-inch barrel. Here's a look at your cartridge here. Nice nickel-plated case with that Vaporizer projectile. Not sure what that is, if that's an in-house kind of thing, but looks pretty nice. Got some really nice skives in it, deep skives. Looks like some internal serration. So there's no doubt in my mind really what's going to happen here without knowing anything about this projectile. A 90 grain moving that fast 357 SIG, that thing's going all to pieces as soon as it gets in the gel. There ain't no doubt in my mind. So this really isn't my thing. If I was going to run something light for caliber, which I usually don't, but if I was, it would be something more like an Underwood Extreme Defender, something like that. But I'm sure some people love stuff like this, so we're gonna see what they can do. Now we've got a couple different barrel lengths out here. Neither one of them are the actual 5-inch that they're calling for, so both of them a little bit shorter. Both of them 40 cal Glocks with the 357 SIG barrels in them. So you basically got the G33 here with the 3.5-inch barrel, and then you've got your G31 with the 4.5-inch barrel. If you're running a 32, like I always mentioned, you can kind of guesstimate in the middle here. So luckily, even though this isn't really something that I would pick, I can pretty much guarantee that we're gonna get what they're claiming out of this stuff. Let's get it all set up and see what happens. All right, let's see how fast these hot rods are moving, y'all. And we'll do a 5-round average from each barrel length, starting with the short one here first. Now you're gonna see multiple velocity readings from this lab radar. The large numbers right here at the muzzle, and then you've got 5 across the bottom. The first one there is set for 3 yards, which is roughly where the gel is here at 10 feet. And then the others are set for 10, 15, 25, and 50 yards. Now, hopefully we don't get this thing acting up, because with 1900, these are up in the rifle range. You have to choose a range with these radars. So I shouldn't drop much below that, even with this short barrel. We should stay, I think 1600, I believe that's the cutoff. So we should be good here. Let's see what happens here. I'm expecting some pretty good stuff. Definitely not the 1900, but it should be spicy. It feels spicy. 1777, 1796, 1753, 1737, and 1711. So a little bit low on that last one. Let's check out the average. All right, so not the greatest spread right here on this stuff. We had a 5-round average of 1755. We were all the way up to 1796 and down to 1711. So we had an extreme spread of 85 with a standard deviation of 33.3. So again, not the most consistent, at least through that short barrel. It seems like in the past I've noticed that, though, not every time, but a lot of times with this really, really light hyper velocity stuff from shorter barrels, it's not very consistent. Now that being said, 1755 with a 90 grain projectile, it's still going all to pieces. There's really no doubt in my mind. Let's get it reset and see what the longer barrel does. All right, let's see what this 4.5-inch does. This right here is probably going to be flirting with that 1900, even though it's not 5-inch. I got a feeling we're going to be all over that 1900 with this one. That feels good. 1880. That feels good. 1820. 1788, 1850, and 1811. So again, I don't think it was really the most consistent. Let's check out the average. Sure enough, our spread actually opened up with this longer barrel. We had a 5-round average there of 1,831 feet per second, 1,880 high, 1,788 low. That gave us an extreme spread of 92 with a 35.5 standard deviation. So this really light hyper velocity stuff is not very consistent, at least not out here today for me anyway. But 1831 here, and if you remember on the short barrel, it was 1755, so you talking about 76 feet per second difference between them. I don't think that's gonna make really any difference when it comes to this stuff right here. I think both of these are gonna look very similar, and both of them are going all to pieces as soon as they go in that gel. So enough standing out here in the sun talking about it. Let me get everything reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's pink mist jelly time. We'll put one from each barrel length into the gel, starting with this shorty here first. Again, I don't really have any doubts what's gonna happen here. We're gonna get some massive fragmentation and probably not much penetration. All right, looks pretty much what I expected. Let me go check it out. All right, no surprise down there, fragmentation and not a whole lot of penetration. So let's see what this 31 does. I went a little too far close to the center, so might have to do something a little different right here, but I'll work it out. All right, that should actually be perfect. That way I can flip the block over. Let's go check these out. All right, let's check this stuff out down here, y'all. I got you flipped over so you can see both of them. This is the top, so laying down on the bottom would have been the front here. So that means down on the bottom, that's the one from the shorter barrel, the G33, and then on the top, that's gonna be the longer barrel, G31. They look similar, but definitely not the same. You can tell that velocity difference makes a pretty big difference. So the first down on the bottom here, the one from the short barrel comes in here, both of them comes in here, massive disruption, huge energy dump, and starts fragmentation immediately from both of them. Tons of fragmentation, lots of lead down here, tons of jacket right here, and then your core keeps on going here. You still got a pretty big chunk from this 33 right here, and obviously you got some massive frag expansion from that. As far as penetration, a little bit further than I expected. I expected very short, but this is pretty short. I would say probably 9.5, 10 inches, something like that. And then of course, again on the top, that's the one from the longer barrel, 31. You can see the difference here. This one comes in again, immediate expansion, immediate fragmentation, huge energy transfer, and you got a lot more fragmentation. You can see the little pieces going out further here, a lot more lead all throughout that channel there, and tons of jacket up here. And as far as the projectile, different angle, but it looks to be a whole lot more mangled up than the other one. Now, as far as the penetration on them, the one down there at the bottom from the shorter barrel 33, that one is actually exactly 10 inches, and then the one on the top is definitely shorter here. That one's only out to 6.5 inches. So that's one of my main problems with this really light for caliber hyper velocity stuff. Sure, it dumps a huge amount of energy and fragments like crazy, but you really pay for it in the penetration. Now here's your close-up look. You can see, I mean, absolute tons of fragmentation from both of them. Definitely more on the top there from the longer barrel, and you can see that projectile, I mean, all mangled all the pieces. Go back down. This one here, you can see, at least from this angle, it looks to have held a lot more material. And then from your top view here, you can see more of the same. Tons and tons of disruption, tons of fragmentation. And yeah, that's a mangled up mess of a projectile right there. And then there's the one from the shorter barrel. All right, let's check out what's left of these projectiles, y'all. Not a whole lot at all from this one right here. That was the longer barrel G31. That's the biggest piece right there. That is the biggest piece that was left. Now, obviously, there's tons more inside the gel, but this is the biggest piece. And then this one is from the short barrel here. Much bigger piece left with this one. You can see that velocity makes a big difference. That being said, neither one of these are for me. This is just not my style. This really light, really short penetration and tons of fragmentation like this, just not my thing. Now, that being said, like I mentioned a lot of times with this stuff, with this amount of energy, it's definitely gonna leave a nasty mark for sure. But let's get the numbers and see how much this stuff actually lost. They started at 90 grains. This one from the shorter barrel is at 76.6. So not as much as I thought we would have had, but quite a bit of loss there. And then this one from the long barrel 31, that one's at 32.6. So tons of loss from that right there. And then the sizes is definitely gonna be a chore here. Let's start with this one. This one won't be too bad. So from your G33, you got 586 and 574. So big old chunk of mangled up lead right there. And then this one here from the longer barrel 31, I mean, this probably really no sense in even measuring that. That little piece there has got about 0.28 width, and then the length on it it's a big old long piece now. Looking at about let's see. Yeah, about 858, 861 on that right there. So nothing but a bunch of mangled up pieces of lead from that one. So there you go, y'all, the Grizzly Ammo 357 SIG Vaporizer. This stuff does what it claims, no doubt about that. Now, the inconsistency, I don't like at all. But again, like I mentioned, it seems like I've seen that a lot as far as these really, really light, really, really fast moving rounds. You seem to get some inconsistency like that. Other than that, I mean, it did what it claims to do. It just did something that I'm personally not interested in seeing from my defensive ammo. All right, y'all, that was about what I expected to see from this speedy, fragmenting 357 SIG. I think this is one of the few Grizzly rounds that I've tested that I haven't been impressed with. Generally, it's good stuff, really nice, hot, loaded stuff, really consistent, but this stuff here just wasn't it for me. Now, I know it did basically what it claimed to do, and some people probably like this stuff, but again, if I was going to run a lightweight round like this, it would be one of those solid copper fluted rounds. But let me know what y'all think about it down in the comments. Do any of y'all out there run this really lightweight hot 357 SIG Grizzly stuff, or some other really lightweight 357 SIG round, or are you more of a standard 125 or even something heavier? Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. A reminder, as always, if you're doing any kind of shopping, check out those affiliate links I've got in the video description. All kinds of really good stuff down there, and anything you pick up helps the channel, so I really appreciate that. Big thanks as always to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for supporting the channel. I've got one more test planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.